Hi, I'm Bran, and I love Hallmark movies.
I'm Dan, and I despise Hallmark movies.
And I'm Melissa Peterman, and I only see movies in theaters that spell it Theatre.
And this is the Deck the Hallmark podcast.
Deck the Hallmark, it's his podcast. Brandon and friends host his podcast. We hope you like this jolly podcast.
Welcome.
Oh boy,
Welcome.
That's the theater.
The theater.
For those of
Theater.
you, that's right.
Yes.
It's those of you at home who are just uncouth. It's
Yeah.
the theater.
Yeah.
Is what we're going
yeah,
for.
Yeah.
That's
Melissa.
my pet peeve, but it's spelled that way. I don't like that.
Well, it's just like, what are we trying to do
What are we,
here?
British?
Oh, no, what do you
Theatre?
think?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Theatre.
No, the theater.
Yeah, it's
Like
the theater.
God intended.
That's exactly right.
That's
That's
right.
exactly right. Melissa, welcome to Deck the Hallmark. We're so happy that you're here. This is your first time, but you are a Decky Award winner.
That's right.
though. So
Yeah.
this is a pretty big deal. I
Big
think.
deal.
It is a pretty big deal. It's my decky is behind me. I don't know if you can see it over on the shelf over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I feel like I've made it. That award means the most to me of pretty much anything in my life, truly.
Proudly
Well,
displayed.
And I know you felt the weight of it, so you can't hide money.
No,
but
no.
but it was a big deal when we sent it out. We knew that this was going to be a game changer for you. So
I mean,
you're
the shipping
welcome.
costs alone. I mean, with the
Yeah.
it just must have been over
and
the
they
top.
put the receipt right on the top of that box too. So there's no hiding how much we spent on it.
I
so-
like it. I like it when you let people know how much you care by
That's
the
right.
amount of money you've spent.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah,
Did they
it's
do
important.
overnight shipping?
Yeah, no, it's priority. It's a
Nope,
2-day. It's a
two-day.
2-day. Okay, all right.
It's a 2-day. Or what's the cheapest to get this out there?
Media mail, huh?
Let's do that.
My Decky came media mail. Interesting.
I know you could claim that. Melissa, so happy that you're here. We always like to start at the beginning and just find out where you grew up and when you first became interested in acting and then go from there. So would you do us the honor of telling us everything about your childhood?
Okay, well, everything. Well, buckle up. I was born in Minnesota, in a suburb of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and youngest, 2 sisters. It's my sister Julie and myself, and Midwestern, good parents. What can I say? As a little kid, I loved watching Carol Burnett, and my favorite
yeah.
thing was like the weekends. I would stay at my Aunt Susie and my Aunt Kathy's, who, if anyone fast forward, hosted the Hall Up the Holly premiere party.
Oh, that's
I
great.
spend the night at weekends at their house, and they were very cool. They were single. They had a waterbed.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, enough said. And I would watch SNL and get to watch all those, like Steve Martin. My Aunt Kathy loved Steve Martin, so I sort of fell in love. And Gilda Radner, like comedy then, and sort of wasn't able to articulate what that meant, but just thought I want to do that. And then as I did little plays in school, and then I remember in junior high, like the day you get your first laugh. Like I'm 6 feet tall. I'm not like in Minnesota, that's probably average height. But I just remember like not feeling like, we all feel different in that sort of time of your life. And I just remember like my defense was always like humor. And when you get that first laugh, you sort of feel like, oh, I like this. I want to do this. And then in high school, there's a really great theater teacher, Mr. Mraz, who did a program, and it was called Showtime, and you created a show. And I sort of found somebody who saw something in me, and that was like the beginning. And went off to college, declared a theater major, and got my degree in theater, which I don't know what that means really. It says I can do it on this piece of paper. Hire me. And from there, I just did a lot of theater. And Minneapolis is a really wonderful theater town, like a lot of live theater, a lot of plays. So graduated from Minnesota State, which was Mankato State at the time, with my theater degree, went to Minneapolis, did Tony and Tina's Wedding, did like 800 performances of that show, which is
Wow.
all improv. And then went on to Dudley Riggs' Brave New Workshop, which is like Second City in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And saved money and did Tony and Tina's on the East Coast, and then saved more money, and then moved to LA, and just try to say I wanted to try this and see what happens.
So it sounds like you did this very responsibly. Like we hear stories of like, I packed up the Hyundai with the hatchback and I drove out and I slept on the beach until I found a job bartending. It sounds like you like were like, I'm going to do this right. Like I'm going to keep doing the thing until I have the money to go do the thing. Is that accurate?
Well, a little bit. I mean, there's still a lot of risk, as far as it's a big deal for a Minnesota girl just to go to LA.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I am a Minnesota girl, so we plan. I'm my father's daughter. Like, you have to have a backup plan. You have to have a cushion and a savings. And so I did sort of approach it with a little, I guess, Minnesota, Midwestern sort of have a plan B always. So, but then knowing that once you move out there, don't have a plan B, if that makes sense. Like, you just say you're going to do it, but prepare, have money, have stuff.
Yeah. What's the difference for you when it comes to preparing for like an improv show versus preparing to do something that's scripted? Do you have to tap into something different mentally when you're doing one of those versus the other, or does it all kind of flow out of the same muscle?
I think it's very different. I mean, the thing about improv that's wonderful is that you're not alone. Yeah. I'm relying on your team to sort of be there for you. You're not usually on stage by yourself. So you've got your main job is to be present in that moment and react off what everyone's doing. So it's sort of like it's not just you. And when you're preparing for like a scripted role, like it's sort of on you alone to get it right and to know your lines and to be prepared and to do all your sort of the work before you get there. And with improv, you can't really do the work before you get there. You got to get there and just be there and do the work. So yeah, I guess what I'm saying is I don't really prep for either.
Yeah,
more than fair.
It's easy. You have a sheet of paper that says you can do it. I think that pretty much establishes.
That says I got a Decky award. I'm sorry.
You just bring that in and use it as a paperweight for your degree and put it on the audition. Just when you go into auditions, you do that and you're good to go. How long did it take? Like, you were in Minnesota your whole life, and then you said a little bit of the East Coast, but LA had to be some sort of a culture shock. Like, Minnesota girl, pretty much your whole life. How long did that transition and just to assimilate into what that is? We've been to LA. We're in South Carolina. We've been to LA a few times, and like, it's just a different world out there. Like, how long did it feel like for you did it take for it to feel like home?
Yesterday.
Congratulations.
I started to feel a little more comfortable yesterday. Like, I figured out how to get on the 405.
So, that's half the battle.
Yeah. That's just half the battle there. So what is that? 20 some years? Yes, it definitely was a huge shot. I mean, for crying out loud. I'm from Minnesota.
You went full Minnesota there.
I mean, by the way, that I glossed over that. That was my first movie role, was hooker number 2 in the movie Fargo.
Because they filmed it in, did they film it in Minnesota?
A lot of it was filmed in Minnesota. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's such a great
I thought
movie.
That might have been hooker number 2. I was like, is that hooker number 2?
Yeah, not one.
No. You were 2 on the hooker call sheet. Of course. I did your parents, how proud were they that you were hooker number 2?
Yeah.
Oh, my mom was like, why did I even get you a theater degree? Because I went from Fargo playing hooker number 2 to playing Madeline Monroe in Tony and Tina's Wedding, which was she was a stripper. So my mom was like, wow, there we go. You've got it type. But they were actually very proud. I think, they are. They're very proud.
So you get out to LA. It's clearly you're still Minnesota at heart. What was the big break? Like, I asked this to everyone, do you have a memorably bad audition story where you went in and you were like, yeah, that was awful. I don't know what I was thinking. Do you have any of those?
I have so many of those. I feel like that we would have to have a mini series on the podcast. Yeah, everyone has I've had many bad auditions, and some of them I still like to say that I missed out on a giant show because I got a bubble in my throat at a time where you're like, and if you screwed up the punchline, I'm like, no, I have timing. It was a bubble.
Give me one more.
One of them was I questioned. Oh God, the audition was I was playing a lawyer for an alien couple that had it was like the first alien baby trial. I don't know.
Yeah.
And as you know, as you do, and I'm in the audition and I'm playing the lawyer, and it's very lawyerly talk about this alien baby. And I finished my first pass at it, and I said, anything more? Do you want me to, a little harder, a little bigger, whatever? And they're like, just remember, Melissa, this is like the most important alien baby trial to date. And I couldn't help myself, and I just was very sarcastic. Right, because this is the one that's going to set precedent. Future alien baby. I got it. And I let myself get a little too snarky and sarcastic, and they didn't enjoy that. I don't know why. And because it was one of those days where you'd been in like a million, like, it's the most important. Alien baby. And I just remember getting out of there and calling my agent going, I'm not going to get this. I don't book that one. I'm not going to get it. And
that's a shame because Alien Baby Daddy's been on the air for 22 years
They
now.
play it every day somewhere.
But do they have a decky? No.
They don't. Syndication, yes.
On
Decky,
TBS,
no.
it's always 12 o'clock Truman Show followed by the Alien
Baby Daddy. That's right. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
I love that
one. Still refer to that case in law schools all over.
Well, it is the biggest one.
Yeah, that's right.
The most important alien baby case to date.
Martian v. Peterman.
That's right. That's a plot makes me wonder what's the weirdest
TV show that came from.
No, I want to know, like, that sounds pretty weird. Like, you look at the script and you're like, wow, does it get weirder than that? Because that feels pretty far out there.
Yeah, I never am surprised by some of the stuff you get. The weirdest part is sometimes when you just get the sides or a couple pages of a script and they're not releasing the whole script. So you have no really idea of what the context of the scene is. And you read these words and you think, in what world does this exist? And am I that, so I don't know. I'm trying to think of like the actual weird, like, characters that I've auditioned for. Oh my gosh. It's 8:15. I don't know.
No, you're doing,
You're doing great.
Lawyer.
What was the big break? Like, what was the role that you got that you were like, I am an actor in Los Angeles,
in the theater,
professional,
in the theater, R-E-T.
Yes.
Well, I think I got, I think a lot of people when you first move out here, I got a really big gig and then I got fired. I got recast. It was like one of those, that first.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What was it? Do you know what it was? What was it?
Do I know what it was?
Do we know what it was?
She knows what it
was.
It haunts her to this day.
About it.
Yeah.
I do remember. And it was, I was very lucky when I got out here, as far as I had done a showcase. So I was getting auditions and doing stuff. And I booked a sitcom, and it was with like John Goodman, and like just a big, wonderful, like, I mean, this is like, huge. I mean, your name was, my dad, I was calling my parents, and it was just like a huge deal. And everyone, it was nice. And this is what I realized. And I'm glad that this lesson happened. I mean, I'm not glad, it's not a great lesson, but I'm glad that it happened early on and I was able to get past it, because people get recast in pilots all the time. In fact, I ended up going on to be somebody that was the person that replaced somebody. But at that time, you don't know that, you don't feel that. And it wasn't my fault, really. It wasn't that anyone, no one was out to get me. It was not the right sort of fit. But it's devastating to hear, like, one day your name's in, on Variety, and you have a parking spot in a studio, and the next day they're spray painting over it,
Oh my gosh.
And you still got Cheeto dust on your hand from eating them all night.
Is that what you do when you get a big role? Is you eat a bunch of Cheetos?
I think it's
I do that when I get the role, and then when I was fired. This is what I was fired.
It's a both thing.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, and it was and I remember that the late great Orson Bean was on that show.
Wow.
And Anita Gillette and Mo Gaffney were all on this show. And I remember, and again, it was just the night that it happened, and you're just devastated. Like, I was just, I thought this was going to be everything. And they all called me and told me, how funny and talented I was. And then they told me stories of the time that they got fired or recast, and it meant the world to me. And if I still run into Mo Gaffney, I will tell her how much that made me get up. And to be clear, like, the same people that recast me the next day called me to come audition for something else, because it was simply, they didn't feel like it was the right fit. And it wasn't the right fit because I wasn't supposed to do that, because cut to 6 months later, I auditioned for a little role on a show called Reba, and it was
Yeah.
Barbara. So
Well,
there
and
you
that
go.
worked out well for you.
And I'll say this: I don't know who replaced you, but they don't have a Decky.
They don't
They
have a
don't.
Decky.
I'm
They
pretty
don't.
sure they don't.
I'm pretty sure they don't.
They don't.
I'm pretty sure they don't.
Let's talk about Reba. I have to tell you, Melissa, personal story from me. I moved to St. Louis, Missouri with my wife from Greenville, South Carolina, and my wife was going to med school, and we got there and we had credit card debt piled up. Neither of us had a job, and we had nothing. And we had a TV, and it picked up one channel on the antenna, and the channel was the CW, and the show that was on just ad nauseum was Reba. I had never seen it before. Growing up in the South, I knew Reba McEntire as a country music singer, but I was introduced to the whole gang: Reba, Van, Barbara Jean. I watched a lot of Reba because it was the only thing on. And I found it to be, I was like begrudgingly watching it at first.
Yeah.
And then I got invested in Reba and watched, I don't know if I've seen every episode, but I've seen a bunch of episodes. And you're really funny on the show. The character of Barbara Jean is really funny on the show. But I have to ask about the accent, because if you had told me that you were from like deep Minnesota, I would not have believed you, because it's a very fun, over the top, but believable. You're from Texas. I believe you're from Friendly, Texas in the show.
Mhm.
And tell me about that. Was the accent a natural, like you're just in LA, you've lived in Minnesota your whole life. How do we get that accent so quickly, so good?
Well, I don't know if I told you this, but I have a piece of paper that says
Yeah.
I'm an actor. I actually think that accent came pretty kind of naturally. I do have an uncle that lives in Texas, but it's, I just sort of, I feel like it was real easy to get into, and it was, I don't know. I just, doing improv too. Like when you would do improv, any given night, you're thrown on stage and somebody shouts out a suggestion, where you're from, what do you have to do? So you just sort of wing it. And by the way, if you then go back and watch all of them, you might find that sometimes I may have slipped into Minnesota for a hot minute.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure.
But again, and also hanging out with Reba, although hers is very Oklahoma, which is different than Texas.
Yes.
But yeah, it sort of came natural. I can slip into Barbara Jean real easy.
But what's wild is that, and I know that every sitcom that runs a long time probably says this or they say nothing, but I mean, you did Reba's movie, The Hammer, with her like last year.
Mhm.
It's clear that there were some long relationships that came out of that show, that like everyone seemed to really just enjoy each other's company. Am I misreading that at all?
No, we were all really, really tight. In fact, Reba was just performing at the Hollywood Bowl last weekend. Was it just last weekend? And Joanna Garcia, who played Cheyenne, he flew out for it. Steve Howie was there, Chris Rich. And we all went to see our girl, and all the writers, we had some of the crew members that all worked on the show. We're all still very, very tight. And, you spend more time with them sometimes than you do with your family when you're making a sitcom. So you really do. We did like each other, and we hung out together. We'd start every day on that set just talking and laughing and getting to know each other. And it was also a time in her life where, I watched Joanna dating people and falling in love, and Steve like met his wife, on the show. And I had my baby when I got pregnant on that show. And Chris Rich, his twins were born during that show. So we were going through these giant milestones in our life together. So that kind of bonds you in a way that it's sort of forever. And, I was texting with Reba yesterday, like we're in each other's, I would call her one of my best friends, truly. Like we really are family.
Yeah.
And you guys were texting about the Reba reboot? Is that?
Yeah.
Just beep, 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 beep. I cannot disclose.
Reba
Fair
reboot.
enough.
In the world of reboots, Reba needs a reboot.
This is
It's
such a fan question, but I've never had someone on the show that I watched probably every episode of their sitcom. Who is the person that would break the most on takes and ruin takes on that show?
Oh gosh. I'd say Reba was fun to break.
Yeah.
When she maybe didn't break the most, but when she did, it was really hard for her to get back into it. So she'd get to the same spot and do it again. Joanna, she was an easy break. And then if I was in a scene with Steve Howie, because he makes me laugh so hard. If I was in a scene with him, I would break. In fact, I think you can see in the actual like show finale, like we're barely
Yeah.
keeping it together. We're crying and we're still filming this like last scene. And Steve Howie just gives me a look and I'm in tears sort of in this last moment. We're doing this picture, but you can kind of see me break and I'm laughing because he's doing something. But yeah, if Reba broke, it was hard to get her back in because it would just go. But yeah, we're all pretty. I would like to say I was hard to break. Steve could do it, but I was
You're
hard.
the improv
Yeah, you're the
comedian.
improv.
Like you had, that's
Yeah.
part of your DNA. But the Van character's such a doofus that would be the one that would get me, I think, on the show. Just the sheer lunacy of that character would get me, I think.
And he's just the funniest person anyway. Like he's just this giant ball of energy, and he just is hysterical. And his facial expressions, I don't know, Steve Howie. What I love too is like my son who's 17, who doesn't like, I'm not funny. I'm not.
Of course not. God, no.
And I can go on, if I go on, check like Hulu or anything, I see that he's watching episodes of Reba. So I know that he's watching them. Because I'm like, it's like, continue watching. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
But so when I ask him about it, it's like, oh, it's because I love Steve. I love Van. I'm like, okay.
If you say so,
If you
son.
say so. I know what you're doing. Here.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, out of the gate to get something, and it wasn't technically out of the gate, but to get something that's syndicated and runs for a long time gives you such an opportunity. I mean, like I hear numerous people say a sitcom's the best gig in LA because of the hours and the fact that you get to this normal working week and it's not nights or whatever, but also the opportunity now that you have that Reba kind of opened the door for you to do other things. I mean, like that had to be something. Like Reba ends, were you like scared? Like, oh my goodness, I don't have this steady thing. Or were you excited about, a new frontier to move forward? Like, which was it?
Well, after eating a couple bags of Cheetos, which I explained earlier,
yeah.
I was sad. It's a big giant. Anytime anyone talks about their show ending after like 5 years, 6 years, I feel for them because it is sad. I was terrified, and excited at the same time. But I felt like it was like a good, like kind of 8 months of just feeling a little blue, like you just missed seeing him every day, even though you were talking. But yeah, and it was weird. It was just a strange thing. I felt rusty because, I hadn't been out there auditioning and being in front of somebody in a room. I'd been working. So I felt very rusty. So I would get these auditions that were wonderful. And I probably wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to do had I not been on a show. But I felt like I would get in those rooms and be like, hi, is my voice weird? Oh my God, alien baby, please fly me up. Like I have
a decky.
I got a decky. Please hire me. So I felt really odd and rusty in that room, and then I just had to sort of let go and realize that as an actor, I just trust in that where I'm supposed to land, I'll land. Like that one show that I ended up going, I wasn't supposed to do that. I was supposed to do the Reba show. And it was a while. Like, I went on a lot of auditions and then I went on tour with Reba, did some stand-up. And then I don't think it was a couple years until I booked a series. Oh no, I did. What did I do? Oh my gosh, my timeline. Yes, I did I did another sitcom for CMT. I did Working Class for them after Reba a few years. After that only lasted one season. And then that ends. And then you have another feeling of like, will I ever work again? And then Baby Daddy was what, 2000 and oh my gosh, I need to.
Yeah, I looked at your IMDb page and I saw that you were on a show for 100 episodes called Baby Daddy, not Alien Baby Daddy.
No, but we are working on that.
We are working on that. And I never heard, full disclosure, never heard of Baby Daddy before.
Well, you guys have to watch 1,000 Christmas movies a year. How can you have time?
We do. And so, but like anytime I see 100 episodes, series regular, like I feel like that show should be on my radar somewhere. What network was it on? What was it about? And like, what kind of gig was that?
It was ABC Family, which is now Freeform. And I do believe it's one of those shows that I wish was on more people's radar because it's a really funny show. And it was Jean-Luc Bilodeau, Derek Thieler, Taj Mowry, and Chelsea Kane and I. And it was I was the mom on the show that I had 2 sons pretty early in life, single mom. And they're like, it's Friends. It was sort of like a Friends feel show. And, but with a family element. And my son ends up having a baby, when he's really young too, and ends up having to raise this daughter. So it's sort of 4 friends, their crazy single mom who is loud and no boundaries, raising a baby. And it was one of those shows where I felt so lucky that I had that feeling that I had on Reba, where we all liked each other so much and had so much fun, and we're still tight. Like literally just almost a year ago, I officiated Derek Thieler's wedding. So yeah, you should find it if you feel like it. You've got twin 6-year-olds. You don't have time to watch another show.
I mean,
It's
God bless
funny.
you. Thanks for giving me permission not to watch it.
That's why it's called Baby Daddy, because the boy, he has a baby.
I see what you did.
That's why it's called Baby Daddy for that reason.
I got it.
I'm the baby daddy's mom.
Yeah, you're the mommy,
baby daddy mom.
So on these sitcoms, are you able to like flex your improv skills at all, or do you, for the most part, have to stick to the script, or do you get to play around a little bit?
I've been pretty lucky. I think that it's really important as an actor that you give those writers everything that they want and that they put on the piece of paper, because they worked really hard and that's their baby. And, so I always come in and I make sure I deliver it. I make sure I give them what they want. And hopefully as we work together, they realize, or maybe they see like during rehearsals, that if I always felt very free during rehearsals to throw out a line or pitch one. And as you build that sort of trust where the showrunners and the creators and the writers trust you to always deliver, then they sort of trust you to play. So, I mean, even in Reba, they would, once I gave them everything, they usually would not cut and let me do something else to see, or they'd pitch an alt and it would be their alternative joke, and then maybe one of mine. And then by the time, Baby Daddy, like episode, I don't know, by the time we're at episode 30, Michael Lembeck, our director, would sort of yell cut, not yell cut, make sure I give them enough space if they need to edit it right on the actual script, and then let me sort of play around. So I've been lucky that the writers have trusted me enough to deliver what I need and then let me play around too. So I've been able to play around. And I think it's great when you feel that there's a little bit of a collaborative feel on set. I think it makes everyone better a little bit.
Yeah. You did a homework movie with Tia. Which Mallory do you like better, Taj or Tia?
Oh, all of them, every single one. They're all
the right answer.
They really are all delightful, and they're all just like so funny. And Taj, who, by the way, the first time I met him at the first table read of Baby Daddy, I felt like I had known him forever. Like he's one of the funniest. He was my on the show, my partner in crime. Like we always made each other laugh. But they're all wonderful. They're all great, and they're just good at what they do. They've been doing it forever, like since they were kids.
I want to talk more about that, but before we get to homework, I do have to ask you this. In your IMDb profile, it seems like you play a lot of games on television. It seems like you are constantly like in every game show, and that has to be like a choice. Like that has to be something you love to do, right? Like is that something that you would, if somebody's like, if you could host a game show, you'd be up for that?
I've hosted a couple game shows.
Fantastic.
And I love them. I want to play game shows. I want to be on them. I want to host them. I love playing games. And I have to do them on TV shows because no one in my family will play anymore because I'm too competitive, or I get too verbally abusive.
Sure.
Whatever
that means.
Half dozen of the other. Which one was your favorite that you did on TV? That was your favorite game? Not necessarily best experience. I'm not asking you to throw anybody under the bus. I'm saying, which game is your favorite?
Currently, like in present day, 25 Words or Less, I love playing that so much. I love Meredith Vieira. I have the best time ever. But as I started to get to play these, I got to do the $25,000 pyramid, and was Donny Osmond hosting. That was amazing.
Oh, wow.
And then I did Password a couple times, and that was really wonderful. And then I got to do Hollywood Squares, like very early on.
The big show.
that was the most surreal experience because I just remember watching it growing up. And when you watch it, the squares look so like grand and whatever. And then you get there and I felt like I was climbing like a rickety ladder to get behind like and then you look over there and it's, I don't know, it could be Pam Anderson or Phyllis Diller and just the most random grouping of people in one place to play this game. So that one I remember was very, very surreal. And I couldn't believe I was there. But yeah, I love Pyramid was very exciting. That's a hard one, but 25 Words or Less I love. And I also currently love playing Pictionary with Jerry O'Connell as the host. He's great too.
Man,
I love
I'll go wherever they
ask.
ask. I literally would play tic-tac-toe on until they asked me to do it. I would.
Like in a big Hollywood thing,
right?
Maybe
a tic-tac-toe, but with
Hollywood, like stars.
Hollywood stars.
What would we call that game?
Hollywood Square.
Oh, that's great, Melissa.
That's good.
That's really good.
I like that.
Unbelievable.
What if we did? What if we just made it Connect 4 and then we just shoot celebrities down a thing?
You never know who's going to come down.
Just chuck them through. And they're all painted.
They don't have to answer any questions. We just throw them on down there. And
we've got a lot of green lights happening. We've got we've got Alien Baby and we've got Celebrity Connect 4.
It's good stuff.
I love that. I love that.
So you did do you've done 2 Hallmark movies. You did A Gingerbread Romance, 2018. You play Linda, the boss or bad guy or something. We did watch it in 2018.
Remember, can I ask you, can you remember year to year, like all the movies that you watched?
I will say this. We did the first year we did it 18.
That was the first year.
40. We had 37 movies. And I could have easily completed any sort of matching section or quiz on any of those movies and would have gotten them all right or close to all right. And I thought that's how my brain works. I have a good memory. And now we've watched, 500 Hallmark and Lifetime and whatever movies. And I could not. There are some that are memorable. Like we'll get to Haul Out the Holly in a little bit. Memorable. Will not forget that one. But there are so many that are like Gingerbread Romance that are just kind of softballs that they all kind of come together. And so no, if it wasn't for the fact that it was the first year we watched them, I probably would have not remembered anything at all about it.
Yeah. If you explain a movie to me.
Yeah,
for the most part, the titles though are just so like a Gingerbread Romance. Right. It's like
love at Christmas, Christmas in Love.
Yeah,
we love the Christmas love. Like it, they're all just there's all the same movie over and over again. But you did that, which is a very cookie cutter, no pun intended, Hallmark Christmas movie, and then you were on Haul Out the Holly, which is as out of the box. I know there was a movie where 3 dudes have to take care of a baby. I know that. But Haul Out the Holly, for my money, was probably the most out of the box one of these films we've seen on the Hallmark Channel ever. It's funny. You've got Stephen Tobolowsky. You've got Melissa Peterman, 2 of the funniest people in any character, like of character actors. You're bringing heavy hitters in left and right. You got Lacey Chabert, the queen of Hallmark, and it's just quick, it's fast paced, everybody gets to play, everybody scores in this movie. And please could you describe as much as possible the difference in working on these 2 movies, which couldn't be more dissimilar, I feel like.
Well, first of all, I didn't really have in Gingerbread Romance, I only worked probably a couple days. It was a pretty small part. It was fun, but it was fast. I felt like we just did a couple takes and I felt good about it. Everyone was kind, but I didn't have a ton of time on that set, truly. You know what I mean?
Did you get any gingerbread out of the gig though? Any gingerbread?
Be honest.
I got a couple gingerbread. I got a gingerbread purse. I took some gingerbread props from there. And I ate a lot of gingerbread.
Fantastic.
When you say you took it, you stole it. Did you steal from the gingerbread Christmas set?
You can't say I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, I might have.
Fair.
So that one was very much you came in and you did your lines and then you did them a couple takes and you sort of left and then they had to move on because they moved really, really fast. And again, Linda, I didn't have a ton of stuff. So I can't remember if it was like 3 days or maybe 3 or 4 days. Lovely experience, great and fun. But the difference between that was I had 2 weeks on this show. I knew Lacey. I met Lacey when we did Baby Daddy. She came and did like a little arc of the show. And we were thrilled because we're like, oh my gosh, Gretchen Wieners is on the show.
Yeah.
and we all fell in love with her. We became good friends on that show, and we'd always sort of talked about wanting to work together. And this is the other thing. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure people know this now. Lacey is really funny.
Oh yeah.
And so when this happened, I was so excited because we finally like manifested working together. But the difference was definite. It was a huge difference. We were all there. And then Steven Tobolowsky, who literally has been in every movie that I have adored him. And I was such a fan. And we had actually did one episode of Reba together. If you ever want to go back and Google a funny scene, Google his scene on Reba. He played a judge. He was hilarious.
I'm sure.
But anyway, the atmosphere was very much, we knew we were making a comedy. Obviously we knew that, and we had McLean Nelson, who was a great director who really fostered that sense of play for us, that's what this movie's got to feel like. He had a definite vision of what it's going to feel like. And so he did allow us to have fun in some of those moments. He allowed Steven and I to sort of improvise lines and, excuse me. This is how I lost that one.
That's
show.
right. That's right.
That's
All right. We're good. We're good. Thank you. We'll be in touch, Melissa.
Yeah, I did. I'm not on Modern Family because of a bubble in my throat. And so we just had a blast, and we felt like Ellen Travolta was, I remember my first second with her, I knew that I was going to just be having the best time. So and a lot of those scenes too, that's the difference. If you notice, again, have you seen a Hallmark movie? Yes, you've seen them all.
A few of them.
There's a lot of group scenes in this movie, which there really isn't a lot of. Most of the movies are couples, or like there's not a lot of that. So when you get all of us in a room to do with that white elephant thing, or to do this Christmas tree lighting, the fun is just there. So it just felt it was just a completely apples to oranges different feel. It felt like we were making something really special. And it's also that thing where even after how many years in the business, where I sometimes don't trust it, even though I should, is that it felt so good, and it felt funny, and I was laughing. Like Steven or Ellen or anybody could just, Wes, how funny Wes was. Wes was willing to go be that guy that's the good looking guy who's kind of a nerdy goof, but he still gets the girl. And like, that's what I loved about it too, is that just felt so much, it just felt fun. I felt fun in the moment. And I was like, please let this translate. Please let this translate. Because right now in this little bubble in Utah that we're making it feels really special. And I think it did. I feel like people liked
it. Did.
So it was, it just felt, no one wanted to leave. I didn't want to leave.
Yeah. Wes has been on the show. He's such a kind dude. We love that guy. The hardest I've ever laughed at a Hallmark movie is you singing in that film. Please, what was the impetus there? Like, was that you? Was that how many takes? Did anybody break? I mean, my stomach hurt, Melissa. It was hysterical.
That was 2 a.m. It was about, I don't know if that room was at that point, it was maybe 109 degrees. We were trying to film that big giant scene. And again, to our amazing crew and our camera guys in McLean, that we didn't have a ton of time to get it, but we did. And we're all a little punch drunk. We're sweaty. We're trying to get it there. And I don't remember if I just started to sing it or as a joke. And then they said, no, do that. And they said, just keep doing that. So I just started singing in that dulcet tones of "Oh Holy Night," and it got louder and louder. And then I kept forgetting the words, and then they kept making me do it longer and longer. And I'm like, I don't even remember the words. And I'm just like, ah! And we just kept going, and it made us all. We couldn't take it. We were just laughing. And I just thought, and we all thought, if they get 1 second of in that they can use, it'll be so funny. But it was off the cuff. Threw it out there way late or early in the morning. And it's funny. It made me laugh. And I was embarrassed doing it in a way, but then I just said, go for it. Just sing louder, be louder.
Oh man. A classic moment, just a classic TV movie moment of any kind.
I wish you could see. I don't know if Hallmark ever does. They need to release bloopers because Steven, there's some things that he would go off on a rant. Like, I mean, and
I could not look him in the eye. If he was doing it, I could not look him in the eye. He's so serious.
There are times like where you know, like you have these filler lines that you say to start or end a scene, and everything he said was just like, I need more of the story. What's he got going on?
And they name him Ned. That's his name in Groundhog Day, and it's so perfect.
And that's exactly it. It's those throwaway lines, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, he might just be trailing off, and like, well, and that's when I put in the new bunker in the basement.
Yeah.
Like, what? What is going on at Ned's house? And that you immediately, that's what Steven is so genius about, of like that's the key of like anyone who's so good at that, is that you don't have to explain. You start in the middle, and it's just a little glimpse of that character and what he is. And I mean, I couldn't look at him. I mean, we were doing that tree lighting, and we would throw lines at each other. And I, first of all, kept pinching myself going, I'm getting to play with this guy who's like at the top of his game. I better step up. And he just, and that's the thing that I think was kind of special about the movie too, is that I wanted to be better because it's Steven. And then I see Lacey, who, that scene with us at the front door of the, don't, my cookie, like that was Lacey. That was Lacey playing with me and letting me play. Like it's all about each other. Like we all sort of elevated each other. And then Ellen, by the way, there's probably 15 takes of Ellen Travolta, national treasure, as she would often talk about my brother Johnny, who we know, Ellen. You know, she does like 15 takes of her making up different what FOMO meant, because she would say like, I've got the FOMO, and then I just threw out like, you know what, Mary Beth, I'll give you $100 to tell me what FOMO actually means. And Ellen would come up with something different every time, and I couldn't take it. It was just so much fun. So I think we all just sort of came going, I better get on my game because you all came to play. And that was felt really special about it, really fun.
Man, that's great.
Well, Steve and Ellen don't have deckies.
They don't.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean,
and I think, was Steven Tobolowsky nominated in the same category as Melissa, and Melissa got the decky?
We'd have to take it to the tape. I
think that might have happened. I don't put words in anybody's mouth, but I think that might have happened. I do have a question now that you said that about Steven Tobolowsky. He plays a serious character in one of my favorite movies of all time, Memento, Chris Nolan's Memento. His character is very dark and serious and not funny at all, and he's good at it. And it's like, if you feel like you never get to see that, since you have a sitcom background and most everything you do has that, like, you know, improv or quick wit or comedic tenor, do you feel like you've ever wanted to dip your toe into more like serious dramatic stuff and haven't been given the opportunity, or is that something
you haven't seen the latest season of Young Sheldon? It gets dark.
It is a little dark. I mean, they do give, like, what I appreciate about that, to answer your question, yes, I would love to do more dramatic or sort of maybe a little darker comedy. Because I do think that, you know, the thing that you know about Steven is that I think it's so much, people that can make you laugh can make you cry much easier than I think people that maybe only do dramatic work. I think that the line between what makes you laugh and makes you cry is very, very a fine line. And I think that it's easy for people that do comedy to sort of go into that, because, you know, you think about those scenes, like even, I don't know, Steel Magnolias, where it's this giant scene and then Weezer just throws out hit weed, whatever, like those, like it's a natural fit, I think, sometimes for comedians to go into that darker thing. And I love doing that. And I actually would like to do more of that. But I've been given some opportunities. I think, you know, definitely, I think in Young Sheldon, they've given Brenda Sparks some of these really, that, yes, it's a comedy show, but they allow those moments that are sort of like, she's not just this mean neighbor. She's sad and she's hurting and she, you know, needs a friend and is looking for something. So yeah, I would love to do more, but Steven is very good at that. That's because I feel like comedians are often just, they're observers of the human condition. You know, they're always looking. And so they're just, it's easier for them to sort of get back and forth, I think, or they're open to it.
One more Hall out the Holly question.
Ask away, because I'll talk about it forever.
Well, typically I am not a sequel guy. With TV, because when it's just about the romance, it's like, we got the kiss, wonderful. I like living in the you know, they live happily ever after in our minds, and we don't need any more of that. Right. But with Hall at the Holly, it was there's so much with this cul-de-sac. There's so much story to tell, and there's so much. I want individual movies for each of these characters. Almost. Is there any chatter? Can you break any news of a Hall at the Holly 2? Are we going back to the cul-de-sac?
Hall at the Holly on ice.
Oh,
yes. Pamela and Ned, we do a triple axle.
Triple axle, man!
Wow.
You did it there. Yeah.
It does chatter count of me saying it out loud.
It does.
Time?
Yes.
I think everybody would love to do more, and I agree with you. I think there's so many stories to be told, and about this group of neighbors, and as individuals, they're just interesting. They're all interesting on their own, which is wonderful. I chatter about it all the time. So fingers crossed, there might be. I'm really loud too when I chatter, so
I love it.
That helps.
We're speaking it into existence, I think, today
That's
is
right.
what we're doing. I
We've
think
got
that's
We're doing it. Let's keep doing it. Like, I would love to see Melissa Peterman on Saturday Night Live. Let's put that out there.
Let's do that.
Gosh, say it out loud. I would love to, by the way.
Yeah. You'd be unreal at that. Like,
that's my dream.
Come on.
Dream.
I would love that. I want to talk really quickly about The Hammer. I watched The Hammer. I really enjoyed The Hammer. And speaking of things that
you have to say The Hammer every time.
The Hammer.
Yes,
The Hammer. I have to.
Is that part of your Home Depot deal?
Yeah,
The Hammer like 7 times.
Right.
Thank you so much for bringing that up.
Promo code DECK.
Us over at Home Depot.
Right, yes.
Have you ever needed a hammer? Reba McEntire's The Hammer. I'll say the full thing. Speaking of things that I think can continue, that it's set itself up to almost have multiple movies, because you have this amazing character in this town, and she's doing Hammer stuff. She's the Hammer. I don't know. Reba McEntire.
It's Hammer time.
Hammer time.
Yeah.
One, I do want to know, was that a Reba calling you and being like, "Hey, you got to get down here. I think this is going to be great." How did all of that end up, and what was it like getting to work with Reba again? I imagine that was just so much fun, showing up and working with your best friend. Not that I don't know what that's like.
No. We hate
we don't like each other.
No idea. I don't know how you guys fake it every day. Like, I don't know how you do. I actually read the script, or I got sent the script, and it was sort of like, they'd love you to do this movie. And this is why I love her so much, because she always like sort of plays by the rules, where I didn't even know she was in it when I read it.
That's great.
No idea. I read it, and I'm not joking. I was reading the script, and I was reading the part for Chris, and I could hear her voice as this judge. I was like,
"Oh wow,
playing the judge, but they should get Reba McEntire." And so I read it. I go, there was one scene that I read. It was the same thing with Hall at the Holly 2. Is when I got to the scene with Lacey at the door, I'm like, I want to do it. I don't even know what's in the rest of the script. I will finish it, but I want to do it. Same thing with The Hammer. I'm reading it, and there was this one like little scene. I go, I want to do it. And then so I said I'd love to do it. And then I find out, guess whose sister you are? And it's Reba. And then and she's like, and of course she said, I want Melissa to be in it. I know she did. Yeah. And then it was so much fun. And the thing about as you know, or maybe you don't know, because you guys are not best friends, that you have a shorthand. Like, it's like showing up on set, and I don't have to do the like, hi, I'm Melissa, and I need coffee in the morning, and I like to prepare this way. Like, we have a shorthand, we have a history. I know how she likes to approach work, and I don't have to explain ourselves. So we just get there and get to play. And we were in Canada for a couple of weeks together. And it was like being at camp,
That's great.
We just all hung out. We would rehearse lines at night after dinner, and we watched movies, and it was awesome. I wish I could do it all the time. I always tell her, I go, I love working with you. I love not working with you, meaning I like to go play with you and be good, like just do fun stuff too. But I love she's a natural fit. We just fit together that way.
Yeah. I'm also Reba's best friend.
I think there might be more Hammer. I'm fingers crossed.
More Hammer. More Hammer. Yeah. Well, yes. Please. And thank you. I'll say that. More Hammer. More Hall at the Holly, and Melissa on SNL. I think we could do all of that. Yeah.
What about Alien Baby? We've got so much on pre-production, you guys. We've got to get started.
No, that's true. That's true.
It's overwhelming though when you say it all out loud. It feels daunting.
can I pitch one more thing too, which I think you guys need to be involved in?
Oh,
I'll allow
please,
it.
yeah, let's hear it.
I'm a giant fan of yours, and I really know what a big deal this is to be on this show. It's a big deal. Why did Hallmark Channel a game show?
Oh my gosh, dude.
Why isn't there like a trivia like or something where whether it's
Melissa, if the three of us don't host a game show, I don't know if I'll be able to live with myself. I think it's perfect. I think it's a perfect idea, and I can't believe I've never thought of it. It would be so much fun.
and it could be ones where like we give away whether it's Christmas. I mean, we could do it could be a limited one where it's during holiday seasons. We could give up. I'm already thinking of it. We got to brainstorm because I think it's a natural fit for the channel. And
yes.
It's good. Where people are giving away stuff during the holidays. We're going to have fun. You guys are perfect. What?
Man.
We got to get working.
We got to get cracking.
All right. I'm going to throw out some things and you tell me if you can only do one thing.
Okay.
The game show, another Hammer, another Hall at the Holly.
Oh my gosh.
Baby Alien or SNL.
You got to go SNL.
Well,
you have to do SNL.
well,
that's a lifelong dream.
But Baby Alien this is Baby Alien. You don't know what it means.
Now's the time to be selfish. You've had a long career. SNL's once in a lifetime. Don't you dare sacrifice that for an alien baby.
This is the biggest court case.
The most important alien baby
to date.
Here's what I do. I'll choose SNL.
Yeah.
Because again, childhood dream
to
like be there, but it'll go so well that the next morning I'm getting phone calls going, guess what? Haul out the Holly 2. You better get to set. After
I like
that,
what you're doing.
Hammer 2. And then they're like, Melissa, you were so genius. What do you want to do next? It's Hallmark. Like, we want to do a game show. And I feel like the SNL thing, dream come true.
Yeah.
Trickle down to everything else happening because it goes perfectly.
Yeah. She's been in she may not have fully assimilated at Los Angeles, but she's been there long enough to give the answer where everybody's happy. And that's impressive.
Melissa, be honest. Have you thought through your SNL monologue?
Or like a character you do?
No, I want to know the opening monologue where you do the fun thing and you tell a little bit. Have you thought this through?
Oh gosh, it's been such a long time since I've had a couple glasses of wine and done it in my bathroom.
So long. Daisy.
So
it's been, how many days has it been since Saturday? It's been,
it's been 5 sleeps away. Oh my God. Of course, everyone always says the first thing, it's like a dream come true. I feel like I could actually show pictures of me. I think I have actual photo of me, like as a 7-year-old at my Aunt Susie and Kathy's watching SNL, like old pictures of that. I would probably, oh my gosh. I would do a flashback to my first time watching it. My first time. I mean, I don't know what I would do. I do know what I would do. I would do a musical number and I would do the thing where you're walking through the whole thing. I love those ones. If they're done, if they work, they're genius.
Yes.
And
if they don't,
this was my childhood. I would do the blues. I would do Jim Belushi as the Blues Brothers. I would do all these things, and I would try to do every character that I would imitate as a kid in a musical number as I walk through the entire studio, and then end up back on the stage. And then I say, "This is for you, Aunt Susie and Kathy," and we'd start the show.
Come on. That's fantastic.
Well, Lauren, come in. Lauren's been here the whole time.
He's
listening.
in South Carolina.
A huge Deck the Hallmark fan.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, we've turned him down numerous times.
He keeps begging to come on the show, and we say, "Do you have a decky?"
Yeah. Do you have a decky?
Get out, Lauren.
Get out, Lauren.
Get out.
Get out.
Is it time for rapid fire?
I think it's time for rapid fire.
Oh, no.
Melissa, we each get to ask you 3 questions. These 3 questions are similar to what we've been doing, but different in that
it's rapid fire.
They're fast, unless you don't answer them fast, and
which
they're not,
totally
which is also fine.
That's right.
Dan, take it away.
Since you mentioned Gilda Radner, and Steve Martin was not technically ever a featured player on SNL, he was just a host. Who is your favorite not Gilda Radner SNL cast member of all time?
Wow.
Oh my gosh, of all time. Oh God, that's really, really hard. Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, and Fred Armisen, Bill Hader.
But one, you gotta give one.
I know. Oh gosh. I'll go with I guess because it's more recent, but oh God. This is so hard. I'll say McKinnon.
Yeah.
This is not rapid fire.
We had to come up with our top 5, and McKinnon and Wig were both in our top 5. So there you have it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We're gonna hang out in LA, and you get to show us the town. What tell us the perfect day. We get in at 8:15 a.m. and you're like, let's have some fun. What's the whole day look like with us hanging out?
Are we gonna start at 8:15 a.m.?
It's up to you. I mean, apparently,
you can give us some time to check into a hotel, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you some time to check in, maybe shower, because I'm guessing it's a long flight.
Spirit Airlines doesn't smell great either. And that
Yeah.
You get it.
So I'm gonna put you in a hotel that's like, let's see, where would you, I'm gonna put you somewhere let's see, I'll put you at the Beverly Hills Hotel. We want to stay there.
That'll work. Yeah.
Well,
all right, let's see. We'll have lunch. We'll go have. I'm on the east side. Like, I'm an east side girl, so I'm not over like in I'm in Silver Lake sort of area, so it's that. So I would say I would take you I'd take you up to the Griffith Park Observatory, which you get a great view of like the Hollywood sign and all that. And then maybe I'd call in a favor. I'll tell you what, the Universal Studios backlot tour, it's still pretty great, as is the Warner Brothers tour. I would maybe do the Warner Brothers one with you, because that's kind of fun. We'd go out to the Dresden room, where, remember from Swingers, the movie Swingers, where Marty and Elaine were. Marty's not there anymore, but we'd go there and have like a great, like maybe a happy hour cocktail at the Dresden.
Wow.
And then I would need to nap at some point.
Sure. Of course,
that's a lot of driving. And then I would probably, even though it is LA, I would want you guys to come back to my favorite spot in town, which is my back patio.
Okay.
We'd be honored.
Oh, yeah.
And we have patio chat back there. And we have, I will have beverages for you. I have lots of snacks. We've got a little pool in case anyone wants to jump in. And I like to be in home base as the evening ends. So then we can sort of just let loose, see what happens. And no one has to worry.
That sounds great. Sounds lovely. And not so much planned that it's not relaxing.
Right.
That's what I liked about that day.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, you can try to stuff it
people come to LA and they think, my mom will come like, let's go to the Geffen Museum and then go over there. And it's like, no, pick one, Mom. Just pick one major thing, and then the rest will be little filler stuff.
Yeah,
it's a really good day. I'm doing it in my mind, and it's really fun. Oh, that was funny.
Yeah, good. It's good. Maybe after we record.
We'll go to Home Depot and we'll look.
Yes.
Oh, get one of their hammers.
We'll all hold hammers. We'll take a picture. You'll send it to Reba. That'll be fun.
Oh man, that's choice there. What is the thing you're watching, reading, or listening to in your downtime? Like if you get some Melissa time, what is it that you're turning on Netflix or wherever and watching?
Well, Succession.
Oh my gosh, I've not seen this week. Don't say anything yet. I've not seen it. I hear it's a big week. I've avoided spoilers. My wife and I are watching tonight.
Spoil it.
Don't do it. He's never seen a thing.
I don't care.
He's not seen it. It's like Arrested Development, but serious. I love it so very much.
Speaking of, I just rewatched all of Arrested Development because it's going off of Netflix.
Oh my gosh.
They're taking it off the platform. So I was like, you know what? Gonna rewatch it.
The first 3 seasons of Netflix, Melissa, I have them memorized. They're just perfect television. Oh my goodness. So
her. I mean, everything about those first 3 seasons is genius. And sidebar, if I wanted to, do you want a quick story about the time I met Jason Bateman?
Please, yes, absolutely.
It was my worst meeting. So maybe when you come out there, we have to do a re-meet with Jason Bateman. So it was during the Reba years, and Reba was at Fox Studios. So we were at Fox. So Arrested Development was also at Fox.
Wow.
And there was this network party. And the show, I don't think it had become quite like, it was still finding its footing, but I knew how funny it was, and Buster and just everything. It was just the best. So there's a network party for Fox. I kind of dread those things. I'd rather be at home on my back patio by like having a cocktail there. I go to the party. I feel kind of good. I feel like I look okay. I look all right. And it's good. I'm there. I shake the hands I need to. I'm doing all that stuff. Jason Bateman comes up. Somebody introduces me, and I just say how much I love the show. I think I said something funny. I made him laugh. It was a successful encounter.
You did it.
And I was like, all right, exit big, Peterman, get out of there. So I get into the elevator. And you know how like sometimes just on the way down, you've already taken off your party face and everything. You're like, I'm done. I'm going to get
Yeah.
home, sweatpants, pizza, back patio. So I've already like in my mind gotten out of the party. I get to the valet stand. I give him my ticket. Guess who like comes right behind me? It's Jason Bateman again. And he's giving his ticket to the valet. This is my thing. After all of a nice, successful car, I go, oh, you again. Oh, you drove? Oh, you drove here? I drove here too. I can drive. I said I can drive. I told him I can drive. As I'm giving the valet, I'm like, oh, yeah, you drove here. I drove here. I can drive. I drive myself. I went on some sort of like lost a chip and talked about how I know how to drive myself. That I'm like a 30-some-year-old woman or whatever at the time. I can drive cars. I drive cars now.
I drive the cars. Yeah.
And he looked at me like maybe he should call my home health care worker to escort me home. And it was awful. And then I couldn't get out of it. And it just spiraled and spiraled. And then my car came up and I was like, okay, I guess I'll be driving off. And it was just the worst. Like the worst.
That sounds like something like go ahead.
The fact that I still remember this, how many years later, like it was so
20.
Awful. It was awful. And I love him so much. And I'm such a fan that I know that he'd never remember it, but in my head, it just loomed like this giant, awful. I can drive a car.
I can drive a car. Did he say anything back or was he just kind of blank faced?
Like, it was like, oh,
okay. Good for you. Like, this sounds like something that like Jennifer Coolidge, a character she would play, would get in and she doesn't know that she's doing anything wrong. That's what it sounds like.
That's the genius of her too. That I would love it that I had no self-awareness. Wouldn't it be great if I thought, wow, nailed that encounter?
I got in the car, you're like, I can drive cars.
You
bet.
Me and Jason are friends.
Huh? Oh my gosh. It's nice to walk through life feeling like every encounter you had was successful.
Nailed it.
And go, you guys loved me. Loved me.
Yeah, we did love you though.
I don't want to keep going back to this well, but once again, Jason Bateman does not have a decky.
He doesn't. I don't know what to tell you.
I know.
Right over there, right there, baby.
That's right.
What a loser.
That's right, that guy.
I bet he can't drive.
Cars or otherwise.
I left first. I don't even know if he did get.
You didn't even see it. You didn't
neither confirm nor
know
deny.
how. He didn't even know how.
Sure, you're killing it on lots of levels, but can you drive?
Yeah,
I don't
cars.
think so. As far as I know, I've never seen you drive.
That's right.
That's right.
I don't know. In a hypothetical world where Reba and Lacey Chabert have to thumb war to win some sort of battle, who wins in that thumb war? Best 2 out of 3 rounds.
McIntyre.
Yeah. It's a good answer.
Lacey has the tiniest, the cutest, tiniest hands. I mean, we joked on set, we would always be like, every time Lacey sneezed, when she sneezed, it would be like, choo! It was like the cutest, most delicate sneeze. So Wes and I would always say, every time Lacey Chabert sneezes, a kitten is born. Just a tiny little kitten.
Just a little kitten out there.
She's just, I feel like Reba's been in the rodeo. Reba in there, like, give me your thumb, Chabert. And she would just, Reba, hands down, McIntyre.
Yeah.
People that sneeze cute, that's just unfair.
It's not. It's not right.
It's not fair.
I got to cut it loose, man.
You got to cut it
into
loose.
your elbow, of course.
Of course.
Come on, guys.
You have to. Your face has to look hideous for like a second, for just like a tenth of a second. It's like a death mask. That's what it is. And then, but no, Chabert just.
Yeah, that's a classic. So you did stand up for Reba before she would perform music. You came out and did stand up first. Okay. What city was the roughest crowd?
Ooh.
Oh my gosh. Probably, and this sounds weird, but maybe because it was just in me, but it was when we did my hometown, like in Minneapolis. And not because they weren't feeling it. I think I was so nervous and excited. Again, also I'm Midwestern, so I know what Midwestern crowds are like. Like they love it. They are on time. They show up. They are your fans and they support you, but they're not loud. You know what I
No.
mean? Like, I remember I would do improv in Minneapolis, and people come like, "Oh gosh, you guys were so funny. I almost laughed out loud." Because they don't want to disturb you or like mess you up.
Yeah, I don't want to mess
So
you up.
in my head, that was the most excruciating night because I had so many friends and family, and you want to be like, look, I did it. And so that to me was really tough on me. I don't think the crowd was tough, but as far as a tough crowd, I have to say, you know what? Country music fans, they're like pretty awesome and they love her. So they're just happy to be there. So I really don't feel like I had a night that I felt like I completely tanked. I mean, I'm sure there were some, but I blocked them out.
Your country music, like, look, you're 4 beers deep and Reba hadn't started singing yet. Like, life could not get better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're like, that is the crowd. That's a great crowd to perform to. I can see that for sure.
And because they love her and they know that she likes me, they already come in kind of liking you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
that's
think
really nice.
The first couple times I did it, I was a big learning curve of like what my job was, and my job really was to make them just reaffirm their love of Reba. Like that was sort of the bent of the comedy of like talking about her and how much in a funny way. But yeah, they were great. It was a great crowd to get to do stand up for in giant arenas for. Like that was pretty amazing.
My last question. I want to go back to the patio really quick, and I just want to ask you, what is your favorite cocktail to make?
Ooh, favorite cocktail to make. I would say I'm pretty simple that way. I would do like maybe a vodka mixed with I like to do La Croix, like a little maybe a peach or pear one, and then maybe a splash of like whatever citrus if somebody wanted it, maybe a ginger, a little of that, but a vodka with a flavored water and a little fruit thing, something like that.
Man,
fantastic.
Yeah. Melissa,
we did it.
You are fantastic.
You are fantastic.
I got to be honest.
And you can drive.
You can drive cars.
I can drive, you guys. I drive cars.
Yeah, I got to be honest. We're over an hour, Melissa. This doesn't happen too terribly often around here at Deck the Hallmark, and I feel like we've not scratched the surface. You must come back and join us again. This has just been the best time. I
would absolutely love to. I was waiting. I was sort of feeling like, wait, are they going to email me? Is this going to happen? And I didn't want to. I was going to play it cool. I was playing it Bateman cool, like just ride this out, Peterman. And so I'm thrilled. Thank you for having me.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, we can't wait to see Hammer 2 and the Holly 2. Andy on SNL. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Stuff, of
but until then, may we be the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Deck the Hallmark's a Bramble Jam podcast is produced by Aaron Shea. For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on the Deck the Hallmark family, you can go to bramblejamplus.com. Deck the Hallmark is presented by Philo TV. For a free trial of Philo, go to philo.tv/DTH.